G'day and welcome back to the channel for part 3 of the homebrew hot rod repairs and top speed runs. It probably should be called Why Do Cameras Hate Me So Much, but we're not calling it that, we're just, anyway. So, yes, where were we when we left off? So it was an error 70 on the EOS, there was grainy footage, there was me driving like a goat and breaking the shock mount, yep, there he is, he's a cute little goat, isn't he? Yeah, now let's get back to it with me replacing the shocks and the shock mounts and trying to do my best with what footage I have. Well, actually, to be apt, I think what we're going to do is show you what I have, and then I will cut in and tell you what I did that I don't have the footage for. And then we'll get into the fun stuff, which you can see a little bit of here. So, anyway, let's get into it. Boop. So yeah, that happened. Which is a bit annoying. I've had those shock mounts going on there for years and years and years. Anyway, as you can see, here we have the hot rod with the body off again. And I've done the front shock mounts there and put in the new shocks. And these are just internally sprung ones. And I've oiled those up. I think I'd call them a little bit softer than the originals. But I think they look pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind trying out seeing how it is with a little bit of a softer suspension and how that follows the road a bit better. And we'll be doing a little bit of a high-speed comparison. I took some slow motion shots of it with the original shocks with these shocks on it, and I will be doing some with these shocks on it once I've got them fitted. I just thought I'd cover, I've already fitted the front like I said, but I thought I'd cover fitting the rear shock tower here onto the back. As you can see here, I haven't removed the mounts or anything. So, let's get into it. These are tight fit, these screws. I'm not even sure these will fit, these screws into the, yeah, that could be interesting. I might have to print off new blocks or figure that one out. We'll cross bridges as we get to it. I might be able to just put acetone down these holes here, seal them up a bit, and put in a new, maybe use 3mm and sink in. I mean, you can see they're pretty ratty. They needs a lot of work, George. And maybe put in some inserts and 3mm and use 3mm bolts. Yeah. Oh, such a. These have got Phillips on them instead of hex heads. So I'll probably replace them with hex heads. And we've got a replacement servo to go into the truck. It appears that the rock crawler's servo gear stripped out. Surprisingly, it's a metal one, and God, if I recall correctly, it was about a $70–80 servo, so you know, not cheap. Okay, so we've got that and that. Now we've got these 4 to remove here. Oh man, I have to remove this bridge to take this off here, which is a royal pain. Took the drift out for a flight yesterday. Launched in manual when I thought I was in auto. Almost crashed, and then had a lovely flight. And I only used 276 milliamps of power in about a 10-minute flight. The thing is just so amazingly efficient. Okay, so then the rest of the removal involves these C-clips here and here. You only really need to remove one set of them, and so you know what, let's see if I can get this tool on it. So swap my bits. So I am still learning my toolcraft, but basically this has a like a geared mechanism, so you can change the action. So it'll change from pulling the pins out when you squeeze to pulling them out when you let go. So, okay, so apologies if I don't manage to get this shot. This is actually a bit silly. Oh, that is not very on there. I'm going to try to line up these holes. These things are such an ass to use. There's very little to perch on there. Screw it. You can at least hook into them with the pins. Alright, so that's not how you professionally use that tool. To be honest, wouldn't have a clue. I'll figure that one out. I've also got this other really cool little tool. So this thing, here. So you put your little 4mm C-clip on this one. This is a 4mm one. And then you come up to your hole, and you go, or you know, whatever, your motor end or whatever. And it just, the lip opens it up, pops it back on, and it's a cool little tool. I can't remember where I got it. I'll try to put something down below, and in editing I will put up a little thing if I have put that down below. If I haven't found it, I will still endeavour to find it. And when I do eventually find it from wherever the hell I bought it from, it might have been one of the Australian FPV suppliers, like Phaser, Faster, or there's a couple of very similar names, FPV at the end of them. Might be one of those guys that I got that off. It's a cool tool. I've only used it like twice, but it's very effective when I haven't used it. So now I'm going to get the other one off. Apologies, apparently my 150 megabytes a second in writing speed card isn't quick enough for this camera. And it doesn't make a freaking sound when it stops filming. And also same with the Insta360. It decided about the same time that, you know, or close to, that it was going to stop filming at 26 minutes. Seems to be its limit. 4K. Well, thereabouts. It's taking forever. It's 76, 77, 78, 70. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm not sure what I missed, but the shocks are on. And it doesn't seem quite as, it seems like there's more, the weight in the back is definitely going to affect that. Are these shocks stronger? I might swap those around, go for softer shocks at the back, at the front, so that, you know, when you turn you end up with that lifting of the rear wheel, not the front wheel. I'm pretty sure if you're going to cock a leg, you want to cock the one of the back ones. Cock a leg, it comes from Top Gear, and of course it's not a reference to pissing on something at all. Anyway, yeah, so look, this is still saving. Bloody hell.
Eventually.
SD card speed too slow. Confirm. It's not that. It's not that. This thing, holy crap. Like I can't keep my hand on that. So let's do that again. 1, 2. Holy shit, that must be close to like 70 degrees. I think I'm gonna have to take a pause, cool this off, and come back.
By sheer coincidence.
It cools down fairly quickly. Oh no, SD card in this has just shut itself. Oh man, why is technology killing me? I'm gonna need to start a Patreon, I don't have the money for this.
I'm sorry, sir. There is more technical difficulty.
So yeah, them punches, they just keep coming. And yeah, those technical difficulties do not stop, it seems. I will battle through, and to catch up to where we're at. The new shocks were too soft in the rear and needed to have some sort of tough tightening up in order to stop the rear whacking on the ground continually. So I tried a couple of different things, and here you can see the springs that I tried to do it with, and they didn't stop the entire travel, and they were a little bit too tight. and then to the rear bouncing quite high, which of course can lead one to lose control. So I ended up doing some further modifications to those, and hopefully I managed to capture that, but let's get back into the video.
So how you do this is get your iron, plonk it on there, and it sinks in, and you remove it when you're in enough. And one of the things with doing this in 3D printing is that you need to be sure you've got enough. Oh, there's a cat on the table.
Hello? Someone else know? Oh, it's on my rub. Hey, buddy. Let's go.
So you need to make sure you've got enough plastic there to actually melt, because if it's got thin walls, you can melt that and sort of have nothing to support around it, and it can actually go quite poorly. So having no recollection of the thickness I did these, so I'm hoping that the significant amount of acetone that I have used will have helped to sort of gel the whole middle together. I probably should leave this for another day before I do this, but I'm rushing it, and if it goes wrong, I'll just have to print up some new blocks, and I can do that, of course. So. And I've got this on low power, and I've not had too much experience with these, but oh, you son of a... Okay, back. I don't know what's going on with that card. That's a shame. Okay, so I've not got much experience with these, but I imagine you put it on, and then you sort of line it up and sink it in. Just you need to hear acetone bubbling there.
Future Mike again here, and at this point, two things happened. One, the camera stopped recording. Again. And two, I made a couple of errors in the use of these threaded inserts. A, I should have let them sink in about 0.5 millimeter below the surface, and then press down the soft plastic that came up at that edge to sort of form a lip over the top edge of the insert to help secure it better. And B, I didn't clear the excess melted plastic in the hole below where the insert after it went in with an undersized drill bit, like something below the thread size, so that there was room for the bolt to go into the plastic below it. This meant that when I screwed in the bolt, it pushed the fitting out of its hole, and I had to do a whole bunch of bodging with acetone and super glue. So anyway, let's hop forward until after I've done all that bodging.
Okay, so I have fixed up my shoddy work with the press-in studs by acetoning and squeezing it down, and that's gripped it again. So let's get this chucked on the car.
And I did, and all the footage is gone. So let's skip forward to my rescue attempt. Right, so where were we? This video kind of just got hashed. The footage of me actually making these shocks, it's gone ski. All I've got is my face, not modifying the shocks. So what I'm going to do to try to rescue this is go through the shocks with you now, and show you what I've done to sort of make them work with this truck. And then we'll have a look at the comparisons for the how it travels, and the accelerates and brakes, and we'll check out how fast this thing goes. So let's get into the suspension, because much belated in talking about it, right? So as you can see here, I've just got some, I got a shorter external spring and a rubber, what is actually fuel pipe for a nitro car, but it's just like a rubber bushing, and it stops it from coming down. When the body goes flat down, it's a couple of mil, okay, it'll hit, but it's on those bushes. And this has seemed to work pretty well. The back of the car is of course heavier than the front, which didn't need the extra springs up in here. But as you can see, it's not an entirely perfect solution, because as you can see here is it needs to be pushed back up so that it sits there properly. And if it does that enough, it does appear that it'll lead to tearing, as you can see there. So I think I'm going to reinforce the bottom of these here with some heat shrink along the bottom, and that should add some longevity to that solution. And on the back, I may need to actually take them apart again and put in a small washer, probably a 3D printed small washer in there, to stop the spring pushing into the buffer, and do the same thing with some heat shrink at the bottom to make sure it's you know, gonna last the length. However, that is what I've done. Disassembled. There's a C-clip that holds this rod on, so you'll need to take that C-clip off, and then the rod will come out, and you can slide on what you want onto it, put it back together, and clip the C-clip back on. It's annoying. I just remembered there's a nice little demonstration I did of that using the C-clip on these, because I had to do it many times, but yeah, that's gone. So yeah, we'll do that sometime again in the future, unfortunately. Anyway, let's get into the comparison. Oh, actually, before we hop into the suspension comparisons and the speed run and a little hill climbing treat for you at the end, I'll just say now that I'm actually using a GoPro 8 to film this. I went out and bought a GoPro 8 because at least it's working and I can get this video finished with it. Sorry, it does seem like I fixed the error 70 issue in the D600 with some circuit board cleaner and then blowing it out, and that seems to have actually fixed that problem for the time being. So yeah, but I thought I'd just get this done on the GoPro, so you know. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with the Insta360 as far as 4K work goes. I think I'll just be using it as a 360 camera, the One R. This is a... Oh, I'm going to do a video on that. Although maybe it's too late. And if it's too late, I'm just going to say now, don't buy that camera. It's not worth the effort. It's not a reliable product. Sorry, Insta360, but you brought that on yourself. Alright, anyway, there's a rock stuck next to my motor. I have to get that out. Let's hop into that footage. Wow, from this point of view, the thing has insane acceleration. I'm gonna have to put together some more sequences with this GoPro on here. Although I think I've smashed a GoPro 4 on this earlier on in its life. Anyway, let's hop into those suspension comparisons, and then we'll get into seeing exactly how fast this thing goes. So first up, we have accelerating. As you can see here, we have the old shocks, and it definitely looks like there's, apart from like jumping off the ground there is more weight onto the back. Of course it is accelerating, but it looks like it's lifting the front a little. And let's have a, still again, hard to see here. And look at it put the power down here, and the arse just go whee over there. So there's a kookaburra flying away in the distance. So let's have a look at the new shocks here. And yes, that is a little inconclusive with everything flying everywhere there, but it does seem to have more on all four, getting more out of all four wheels. So, braking. First up we have the old shocks, and sorry about the quality of the shot there as it's coming in. I know, fairly inconclusive there. And here we have the old shocks again. And with the old shocks, if I slammed on the brakes, it would flip over noseways. So I had to be quite careful braking. Now new shocks, and I don't have to be very careful braking. I can slam the brakes on pretty hard. And as you can see there, the nose bowed down under the braking, and then final hard braking at the end. So it's a lot better there. So traveling over rough ground's quite interesting. As you can see, the front's coming off there. And as it comes over the bump, seems like the whole rear lifted up, barely touching on the other side. But the articulation seemed to handle it. And with the new shocks, it's closer to the ground. But it did seem like all four stayed on the ground there. It's a bit hard to tell again. Accelerating on the loose ground. You can definitely see the fronts come off the ground here. Definitely leaving the ground and losing that potential acceleration. And here's the new shocks. And pretty well consistently on the ground apart from when they hit that rock. Anyway, I'd love to have your thoughts on the differences in the performances of the old and new shocks. But let's get into the speed comparison so I can explain how I did it, and then we can check out the results. Okay, so here we are in the video editing software, and this is how I determine the times. As you can see here, there's a little timer. For some reason it has but here we are. We've got 0.52, 0.45, 0.54 and 0.43, and I took them off the run here, which I have I will show you in a second. But anyway, these are the runs here, and just to give you an example, I will randomly pick one, so, like so, and that is how I sort of timed them and what I did to time them. So what I did was I waited till they passed this marker here. These are 2.5 meters apart. The tape marks the marking for 10 meters, and when they passed that, I cut the clip, and then when they got to the end, I cut the clip again, and I just measured the length of the clip, and I did that 4 times. Then I averaged the time to get a speed, and that's that. Now let's check out the runs and the speeds, and then show you what the average top speed was. And there you go, we had 69.2, 80, 81.8 and 83.7, and yes, each time I was pushing it harder. It's, that first run really pulled down the average speed there of 78.675, but with a top speed of 83, I'm pretty happy. Anyway, let's go check this thing out on some more FPV, and what about that hill climb? Oh, well, look at that, there's a hill, and a hot rod. Well, what are we gonna do now? That's right, rip some tyres up. came off. Bloody base came off. Never had one of these come off.